Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you guys have had a fantastic Thursday and a great work week so far. We're getting closer to the weekend. There's a lot to talk about. There's been a lot to talk about over the last really 48 to 72 hours with this upper level low that's been pivoting through the eastern U.S. There is another upper trough that has dropped down to the south central U.S. that will promote severe weather really the next 48 hours across the southern states, including the south central U.S. and the southeast and the deep south. So there's a lot to talk about, including the potential for a big system really Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday of next week. This has outbreak potential to it. I don't want to say that's what's going to happen, but it does have that potential with a lot of thermodynamics, kinematics coming together to make this a very dynamic system that spells trouble. It definitely has trouble written all over it. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate y'all's amazing support. And if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over them, gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's definitely do that. Let's talk about what is going on. This system right here, which has been plaguing the southeast and deep south over the last several days, is finally moving off the eastern U.S. here. It's being replaced with another system. This is a stronger upper trough digging into the south central U.S. and you have convection starting to get going over areas of Oklahoma, with storms that have the capability of producing some large hail. You even got some convection blowing up here in the areas of far northeast Texas, southwest Arkansas, places like that. There is going to be more convection that begins to bubble up in this area, and then there's going to be a tornado threat with a low-level jet ramping up across portions of southern Louisiana and Mississippi. And then tomorrow morning, there's an enhanced risk for tomorrow for a decent tornado setup for areas of the deep south, southern areas of Alabama, Mississippi, and then the western areas of the panhandle of Florida could definitely see some significant weather as you're waking up tomorrow morning. So a lot going on. I do want to mention, I do have some plans next week to have my first big time chase of the year. I really haven't chased anything this year. And I do have some. I don't know what I'm going to chase. I don't know if it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I'm not really at a place in my life where I can, drive all the way to Texas for severe storms. I have a family, and it's really hard to just leave. And of course, I don't have all the money in the world to do something like that. But I do plan on chasing sometime next week. I just don't know what setup I'm going to get. But let's keep going here. I just want to throw that out there. I'm going to get some footage for you guys and try to get people alert on what is going on here. But slight risk up. This is for right now through tomorrow morning to about 7 a.m., 6 a.m., depending on where you are tomorrow morning. Slight risk up. You're going to continue with this hail threat. Watch out for this hail threat this evening for Oklahoma City, points south especially. There's going to be a hail threat that we need to watch out for. There is also a damaging wind threat, but really the hail threat, for the chance for some large hail for Oklahoma, is going to be the threat really here in the next several hours. But really getting into the overnight hours, you're going to have a substantial tornado threat, a 5% risk. This includes Baton Rouge, New Orleans, southern sections of Mississippi, and that's in response to a low-level jet ramping up here with a pretty decent moisture field building into this, with dew point surging into the 60s and close to 70. So that's all obviously going to heighten the convective levels in this area. So watch out for overnight tornadoes. Have a way to get alerts here in the bayou, definitely in southern areas of Mississippi overnight tonight. Let's talk a little bit about that threat. So we're going to start this off by about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. As you can tell, there is some big storms starting to develop. This is cold core storms, meaning you're going to have some decent or you're going to have some good lapse rates here, and that's really because you're really close to the low pressure, so you're going to have a lot of cold air in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So it's going to promote cold air aloft, which means you're going to have a lot of hail with these storms and the potential for some large hail. Very surprised yesterday seeing all the large hail reports come out, especially here locally here in Augusta, Georgia, right around where I live here in Columbia, South Carolina. But around the Georgia-South Carolina border, that cutoff low that moved through yesterday produced some crazy hail. So it just goes to show you these upper troughs, these upper level lows, especially when you're really close to this low pressure, they can really produce some big time hail. So watch out, Oklahoma City. Try to park your car under something, because the hail threat is going to be significant here in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma in general, especially in this section of the state right in here, central and southern portions of the state. You guys know all about large hail, so y'all definitely know the deal. But as we're getting going here in the overnight hours, this is what we start to watch out this down here. We're getting into around the midnight time frame and storms really start to develop. You got some Cape values starting to get over 1,000 joules per kilogram, and really that's because you have dew points surging into the 60s and 70s, which ramp up them Cape levels. So that mixed with a strengthening low-level jet, we'll go on and get a little bit closer to this, go to the next panel. And here you go. Here's a closer look at Louisiana. All these storms, and this is getting into the midnight time frame, getting into 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. All these storms. Alexandria, watch out. Louisiana, especially points south where you have a better moisture flow. And basically better surface moisture, dew points in the 60s and close to 70. But watch out Baton Rouge into the overnight hours, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. These storms will be moving through and they will have a chance to produce a quick tornado. So watch out even Jackson. But this area right in here, southern Louisiana, southern Louisiana and southern Mississippi, definitely a threat of tornadoes. Watch out Gulfport, Louisiana, as you're getting closer to sunrise, especially just before the sun comes up. These storms right here on the tail end of this are going to have a chance to produce a tornado. And this is really when you start to get into that enhanced risk. And really the reason is because if you keep this going, this is about 1, 2 a.m., a decent... And come on, baby, you need to move for me here. Sorry, these panels are lagging here. But it's really because this moist sector that builds into Louisiana, dew point surging based off the HRRR model into the 60s, pushing close to 70. Therefore, the convective values build into this region. So we look at this low-level jet in response to this really ramping up in this region. Ignore these L's right here. Focus on this. This is the upper trough digging through here right here. So this is the low pressure in response to ramping up this low-level jet. So with that low-level moisture in place, it ramps up that convective values. Therefore, you're going to have some low-level, the kinematics in place to put a spin in the atmosphere, some shear in place to cause a quick tornado in this region. It's certainly and definitely possible here. So we go on and switch to tomorrow morning, especially. I really think tomorrow morning through about early afternoon hours, you're going to have to watch out. You got an enhanced risk. This includes areas like Mobile, Alabama, and then the western areas of the Panhandle of Florida, and then other areas of southern sections of Alabama. There is going to be a significant tornado threat. I'm not talking about an outbreak or anything, but there is going to be a threat of tornadoes, and really it's because it's in the area where you had the best moisture, meaning dew points, pumping into the low 70s, upper 60s. And with that, you're going to have CAPE values reaching probably on average well above 1,000 in these areas. So you're going to have a tornado threat. And you check this out here, tornado, 10% risk. You also have a chance to see a significant tornado of EF2 or higher in this hatched region right here. But there's also a tornado risk that extends all the way into the Mid-South, into the Ohio Valley. This includes Nashville, Tennessee, Evansville, Kentucky. Evansville, Indiana. Louisville, Kentucky, places like this, you need to watch out for a tornado threat. There's even a small risk even into the Carolinas and Georgia in general. And so we need to watch out here. There's going to be a significant hail threat in response to this upper trough moving through here. With this cold air aloft up here, you're going to have more cold core storms and a chance for large hail up here also. So we need to watch out. Let's go on and switch and look at the HRRR model starting at the enhanced time frame. So this is starting at the day 2 severe weather outlook time frame here, which is around 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Still getting used to the time change here where it actually goes up an hour in Zulu time. But here we go. Storms developing. All these storms down here, all these storms up here also can produce a quick spin up. So watch out Birmingham, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama as you're getting into the morning hours, the sun's up. But right with this tail down here, you see the low pressure, low-level jet ramping up in this area, moisture building into the deep south down here, way down here in the southern areas of the Gulf states. And this is when you watch all these storms down here. I know this might be a little hard to see on your screen. I should have got a better panel for you for this area. But basically around the 7 a.m., 8 a.m. time frame to about noon, even into the early afternoon hours, this area right here is going to have substantial tornado threat. Any of these storms could produce a quick spin up. And there's even going to be some significant weather up here. You watch with it in response to this low pressure. Any of these storms right up here can also produce a quick tornado, some large hail. You see these storms kind of developing here in southern sections of Indiana and northern and kind of northwest Kentucky. These could produce a quick tornado, but they also have the chance to produce substantial hail too. And then you watch, I think the tornado threat begins to diminish across these portions because you lose those better CAPE values. When you get a little bit further north, there's still going to be a little CAPE in place. But watch for some more storms to develop. As you're getting into the afternoon, evening hours tomorrow afternoon, these will have a chance to produce hail. It's kind of like what happened yesterday evening in portions of Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina, where the storms have produced a lot of hail. I was very surprised at the large hail some of them storms produced. It was crazy. I mean, some of it looked like it was bordering tennis ball size hail. And there was a storm specifically last night around Augusta that produced some crazy hail. It was really, really impressive to see. But as we get going forward here, we really can talk about why we're seeing a substantial tornado threat tomorrow morning across the Gulf Coast and really the southern sections that I just mentioned. And really it's because of this surge of moisture coming out the Gulf in response to this upper trough that's yanking winds out the south, in general out the Gulf of Mexico. So you had that big time moisture feed, which is causing, when you get dew points in the 60s and 70s, and you get just a moist sector, what we call surging ahead of it, you definitely have a chance to see some nasty weather. Of course, you need other things too, like the wind energy. You need convective values to cooperate. But normally when you have a big time moisture surge, higher dew points, you normally have some decent CAPE that comes with it in response to it. So as we're getting through the morning hours, look at these moisture values. Look at these dew points getting into the upper 60s and 70s in the southern sections of Alabama, also southern sections of Mississippi, and then starting to move into the western areas of the Panhandle of Florida. Even it'll be pretty muggy tomorrow across Alabama in general, with dew points into the 60s. So it's going to be one of those late spring humid days, and it's going to feel like severe weather. And this will continue, so there's going to be a surge of moisture. But you notice there's a little bit of surge of moisture that reaches up here, really gets and flirts with this low pressure up here that will enhance a little bit of CAPE and get some storms fired up here with dew points reaching the upper 50s and lower 60s. But we'll have to see how that fetch of moisture really gets up there. And really going forward here, this is what you watch out for, this CAPE, right? So this is when it could get dangerous, around 7, 8, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Watch out, Mobile. The HRRR model, this is mixed layer CAPE, by the way, not surface-based, but mixed layer CAPE, which I feel like is a good thing to look at in this case. You got convective values, CAPE values reaching well over 2,000 joules per kilogram. Mixed in with those high dew points and with a strengthening low-level jet ahead, you're going to have some tornadoes, I think, down here in this region. I hope I'm wrong, and I might be. But, that's why they had the enhanced risk in this region right here. Look at the CAPE values surging ahead. So I'm telling you guys, if you're in southern sections of Alabama, especially the closer you get to the Gulf Coast, western areas of the Panhandle of Florida, and even southern sections of Mississippi a little bit early on in the morning, there's going to be a tornado threat. All these storms will have a chance to produce. But look at the CAPE values, even getting over 1,000 deep into Alabama as you even get a little bit later in the morning to the early afternoon hours. So there's going to be some storms flying around this region too. So we'll continue to watch that. But obviously, you look at the significant tornado parameter in response to everything I just mentioned, and you have, the STP reaching values of 4, even close to 5 with some of these storms, right where you have the best dynamics, meaning kinematics with that wind energy mixing with the thermodynamics, that surface moisture, the CAPE, the higher CAPE values, the temperatures in general, and things like that. So we watch out for that significant tornado parameter, and it also spikes up here too. So there's going to be a tornado risk. That's why there's a 5% risk. You go back and look at this, and you look at the 5% risk. That's why you have it extended up here, and you look at that in response to the significant tornado parameter in these regions. That's why you're seeing it. So you're going to have a tornado threat going forward. There's also a threat for there's a slight risk already up for day 3. This is Saturday morning into Sunday morning. We don't know a whole lot about this. What we do know is there's going to be a chance for a dry punch of air aloft, meaning any storms that develop, I think, in this region have a chance to produce some significant hail. I think that's going to be the biggest threat, damaging winds and hail. I don't think the tornado risk in this risk area is going to be that high. But we'll have to watch to see how it develops. But you look at about the only thing we can look at this range is the NAM. What does the NAM show with this system? Well, we're starting to get into the risk time frame, which is Saturday morning into Sunday morning. You notice there's not really a lot of convection showing up here in this risk area. You're getting into 4, 5 p.m. and nothing's really popping up. You're getting some storms up here in Maryland, maybe a little bit of storm action in Virginia. So the NAM really isn't enthusiastic about this event, but we'll have to watch to see what happens here. This has plenty of time to change. Really, it has the next 24 hours to really see what we're going to do here, even more than that. So we'll switch and talk about the big storm early into next week. I can tell you, if you got any outdoor activities from Texas, Oklahoma, all the way through the Mid-South, Deep South, and the Southeast in general, I think Sunday is the best time to do it. That is going to be our break between this large stretch of severe weather. Sunday. It's going to be in between of this system that we're starting to deal with tonight, in between that system and the system that's dropping into the south central U.S. This big upper level ball of energy, if you will, dropping down as we're getting into Monday. So there's going to be kind of a lull in between, and this is the lull. But you look at day 5, enhanced risk up, basically at day 5, that 30% risk of severe weather occurring just south of Dallas. This is going to be a substantial severe weather event. And guys, I'll be honest, day 6 looks even worse. And really it's because I think we might have better dew points in place, more cape building. I'll show you that in a second. But there's also a severe weather risk for day 7, which is next Wednesday morning into Thursday morning. This risk right here is for next Tuesday morning into Wednesday morning. Active week, and there's a chance for an outbreak next week. There really is. And about all we can look at is this. We know this big time upper level low, this upper trough is digging down here. There's going to be a dry line that sets up here. So the winds shift around this like this. So as it pulls out the southwest and then south, it pulls that rich moisture out the Gulf of Mexico, those western sections of the Gulf of Mexico. And just in general, just pulls winds out the south. So you have more moist air down here to the south. So you have the moist air and then the dry air associated with this upper trough. So you're going to have a dry line that sets up here. With that moist air, you have higher cape values that build into this region. You also have a substantial mid and low level jet that fires up with here. So you have plenty of kinematics in place, a dynamic system that brings your kinematics together and thermodynamics together. And when you have high ends of both, that means you have the potential for significant severe weather. So we look at the GFS and we look at those higher dew points in this region. And this is really just for Monday midday. You notice this punch of dry air moving through in response to this upper trough. And then you see the surge of moisture. You see the winds surging out generally the west right here. And then you see the wind barbs has the winds coming out the south right here. And that is in response to this low pressure basically pulling that moist air into this area. So you got dew points surging into the 60s, maybe pushing the 70s in eastern Texas for Monday, where you have this enhanced risk at day 5. You turn around, you look at this, look at these cape values in response to this. Cape values already on the global models. This is surface-based cape too, so this isn't mixed layer. It doesn't show that on this model, that this specific site I'm looking at, but you got this cape values reaching well above 1,500 joules per kilogram on average in this region. And then you mix this low-level jet in place, pushing, 70 to 90 knots. And then the mid-level jet is even higher, pushing 100 knots coming out of this direction. So you're going to have some shear, you're going to have a spin in the atmosphere for sure. And in general, you keep this moving. And really, this is all we can look at this range. We can look at the thermodynamics and the kinematics. You're starting to get into Tuesday. Look at this moist sector that builds into your Tuesday, midday, and afternoon. Even more moist air for these storms to thrive off of. This moist sector surging all the way into the Quad States region. But look at this moist air into Mississippi, Louisiana, 60s, 70s as far as dew points. This spells trouble for sure, guys. So you compare that, in response to that, you can tell that you're going to have cape values surging even higher. And in fact, you keep this going. This is for your Tuesday afternoon. Cape values are unfortunately, reaching well over 2,000 joules per kilogram, mixed in with these dew points. And then you look at the kinematics in place here as we keep this going into the afternoon hours. You're going to have a low-level jet ramping up in this area. You don't necessarily have to have this crazy low-level jet. When you have all those cape values that I'm showing you right here and those higher dew points, and there's a lot of other things that mash into making severe weather happen, but these are the main things you look at this range. So severe weather occurring, obviously we're going to have a better look on what's going to happen with this big event when we get in the range of these short range models, which we will be well into range by the time I think we get into around Saturday midday. But this is going to be the main topic over the next several days. Stay tuned. Have a plan if you're in all those states I just mentioned. And definitely get ready for some severe weather. God bless everybody. Stay safe. I'll talk to you all in the morning.